To some of the best poker players in the world. Hello and welcome to the 7th Annual World Series of Poker Europe. I'm David Tuchman, and we are here for the main event final table, the final 6. Our chip leader right now, Adrian Mateos, looking for his first ever World Series of Poker bracelet, just 19 years old. The Spaniard, relatively new to the game, but already has a lot of results, over 300,000 in earnings. And this guy has a whopping 180 big blinds. Dominik Nietzsche, a force, one of the many very good young German players in the game. Already has a World Series of Poker bracelet. And there's the amateur. There is the wild card. He satellited in for 10 euros. It's Jerome Huget, the Frenchman, 38-year-old real estate agent, looking for a big score, looking to turn 10 euros into 1 million euros. That's the prize. Adrian Mateos, who I mentioned, 189 big blinds. These players are incredibly deep. Raghi Raghavan, the 27-year-old from Chicago, Illinois, with 42 big blinds. He won the Bellagio 5-star, 5-diamond last December. Benny Spindler, a huge name in Europe. If you haven't heard of Benny Spindler, you'll certainly know his name at the end of today. And here's what they're playing for. We saw the bracelet already. Shannon Shore, Andrei Konopelko were gone in 8th and 7th, respectively. First place, 1 million euros. And Director Jack Effel on the floor with the player introductions.
Hello and welcome to the 2013 World Series of Poker Europe. We are here for the final table of the 10,000 euro main event. There are 6 players remaining with a 10,000
players. He has a gold bracelet. He won in the $10,000 horse event in 2011 for over 600,000. His tournament results date back to 2000. He includes 5 WSOP final tables. His career earnings stand at 4.1 million, putting him just behind David Benjamin on France's all-time money list.
Yeah, I've played with Fabrice. He's obviously a very experienced player at this table. Yeah, he's a nice guy as well, so it'd be good to see him snatch up a second bracelet.
What do you expect to see at the start of this? These players are extremely deep. Average blind is 90. Average stack is 93 big blinds deep. So very rarely, I don't think ever in my commentary have I seen a final table this deep with 6 players remaining. It's almost like a cash game.
Right. I mean, they are extra deep, but a lot of these players have a lot of experience as well. It's not like the table, you know, has half, you know, some amateurs and half pros. So I think that they're going to be probably taking it a little bit easy to start off with and, yeah, filling out the table.
There's a look at Benny Spindler. This is the German 2nd World Series of Poker main event final table of the year. He previously finished 6th in the World Series of Poker APAC main event for over 150K. He's also an EPT title holder, winning the EPT London main event in 2011. He final tabled WPT Marrakesh. And his career earnings currently stand just under 4 million. Benny Spindler on the left side of your screen in kind of that black and white sweater. Fabrice Soulier just to his left. Dominique the German to his left. And I remember actually doing commentary for him when he won the LAPT in Argentina a few years back. That was his coming out party.
I'm a big fan of Dominic. He's spent a bit of time in Australia, and yeah, I've played with him a lot. And
Is he as crazy as he seems on the table? Because he's such a sicko at the table.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a smart player. At the end of I don't think he's just crazy. I think he picks his spots pretty well, and yeah, he does tend to do some crazy things. I think that's part of the adrenaline rush for him.
We had a lot of fun watching a German last night, Philipp Grusom. He finished in 3rd place, and tonight we have two more very prolific Germans at this table. 2 Frenchmen, 2 Germans, a Spaniard, and 1 player from the United States among our final 6. Blinds are 10,000, 20,000, the 3,000 ante. Fabrice was the raiser. Dominique called. And the amateur,
How must
Jerome
he be feeling?
Huget. Well, man, I mean, you wonder, I'm sure he's nervous, right? He must be nervous. He's an amateur, but at the same time, he's turned 10 euros into a minimum of, let's see, what is it? I was going to say a minimum of about 150,000 euros. I mean, 7th place paid 101,000 for Andre Konopelka. So this guy, I mean, on one side, I think he's nervous, but the other side,
I don't know.
He's free rolling.
I think that if it was sort of one of my first sort of tournaments, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, maybe I'm thinking this is sort of normal stuff that goes on. Whereas when you've been playing for a long time and you get to this point, you know how few opportunities you have to be in this position.
A lot of people are probably familiar with you watching the ESPN coverage of the World Series of Poker main event. I was familiar with you a year before that, obviously, when you finished in 2nd in a World Series of Poker event. What was your first televised experience like? The first time the cameras were on you, the lights were on you. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was an Aussie Millions event, actually, and I got seated at a table with Gus Hansen, and got involved in a hand with him as well. I don't know. I think being a female too, you have that added pressure. Is like, you know, does my makeup look all right, or you know, am I looking all right on the camera? But as far as being scrutinised with how you play hands, it's a little bit of extra pressure as well.
He calls. It's heads up between him and Fabrice.
Well, 2 hands in. We've seen 2 raises from Fabrice. This time Spindler calls from the big blind. Flop is 9, 10, 6, 2 diamonds. Did you, when the day was done, did you feel like the cameras and the lights affected your play?
I think the first time I was on a televised table, yes, I would have to say. Probably it made me make decisions knowing that they were going to be watched by other people. I don't know. I think I'd be lying to say it didn't somehow just slightly.
Yeah, I always wonder. More on that in a second. The yellow chips, by the way, if you're new to the broadcast, welcome to the 7th Annual World Series of Poker Europe main event, down to our final 6. Yellow chips are 1,000, gray chips are 5,000. The red chips are 25,000, and those fancy plaques that we see when we come to France, those are 100,000 each. They're so classy.
They do. They look sort of James Bondish. Like.
Yeah, I love them. Fantastic. Do you think it affected your game adversely? Get a check raise here from Spindler.
Then raises to 90,000.
Now, I know you played in the main event. Have you played with Fabrice? You mentioned you played with Dominique. Have you played with Spindler before?
I don't think I have. I'm actually not very good with facial recognition after I've played with someone, which is a leak in my game, I think. But I've seen him around, and obviously he's done some great stuff in Australia as well during APAC. So
Fabrice makes the call. Pot is now 298,000. For the record, I actually had dinner with you. I had drinks with you. Then I saw you 6 months later, and you didn't know who I was. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Fabrice was the original raiser. He raised under the gun. Spindler defended from the big blind. It went check, bet, check, raise. Action is on Spindler. play yesterday was fast.
It was.
It was fast and furious, to say the least. Not much tanking at all. A little bit more deliberate already today, which
Ben bets 125,000.
not a surprise. 1 million euros up top. Spindler bets 125,000. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, if you aren't familiar with who Benny Spindler is, you will by the end of the day. Fantastic talent.
Fabrice makes the call.
And already a big hand developing between the players who are
Rivers the tray of clubs.
both have a lot of chips,
And
actually.
first.
Spindler started his hand with 1.7 million. Fabrice started his hand with just under 2 million. You can see the chips and the players at the top of your screen. 3 of clubs, irrelevant.
Well, I've seen so much action so early on. It's great.
Well, the one thing that's going to be a lot of fun, you know, a lot of times in tournaments, especially at final tables, the average stack might be 35 big blinds deep.
Right.
So a lot of the play is pre-flop. At this final table, with the average stack being 93 big blinds, we're going to see a lot of post-flop play. We'll see a lot of turn and river play.
And especially because we've got so many experienced players at the table, that's going to be the case. They like playing post-flop more than a less experienced player would want to. I think maybe Jerome's going to be more, I would assume, he wanting to play a little bit more pre-flop, but these guys are happy to get to a river.
How thin are you value betting if you're Spindler here? And he check raised that flop. Are you value betting 2 pair?
Yeah, I'd definitely be value betting 2 pair.
So 2 pair or better you're value betting, and you're hoping to get called by an overpair?
Benjamin bets 300,000.
Spindler bets 300 into 548. So he followed up the check raise with 2 more bullets. Action is on for Fabrice, getting a little bit under 3-1 on the call, and he's going to make the call.
And Fabrice makes the call.
And Spindler just auto mucks.
Wow.
You have to call Fabrice.
Yeah,
No, you do.
Fabrice shows a king-high diamond flush.
Well, there you go. It's an easy
Wow.
call.
Yeah.
So Spindler was making a move with the ace-jack. Fabrice calls down with the king-high flush. You like the way Soulier played the hand?
I mean, obviously now that we've seen Spindler's hand, I don't think he's going to get much more out of the pot without Spindler
Clearly
bluffing
not.
into it. But I don't know. If I play King Jack and I end up a suited King Jack and I end up hitting my flush, I'm hoping that if Spindler has something like 2 pair, I might get a little bit extra on the river. I don't know if I just like call there with the second nuts.
Are you? I guess the question is, if you raise with the king-high flush, can you get called by worse? I mean, let's say Spindler did have 2 pair, or actually flopped the straight. Let's say he had 7-8.
I mean, his bet on the river was pretty big too, so it's probably going to be hard to get a raise in there and probably get a call even by a 2 pair. But
And you're sick if you raise and then Spindler shoves.
right, of course.
Adrian re-raises
30,000.
to 130,000 total.
Dominic Nietzsche raises to 50,000. Once again, the blinds are 10,000, 20,000.
Jerome
Dominic
folds.
raising to 2.5x. That's 2.5 times the big blinds. Once again, David Tuckman, Jackie Glazier in the booth. Adrian Mateos, the Spaniard, 3-betting to 130,000. Action now on Spindler, who's now down to under 1.2 million. Down to under 60 big blinds. Pretty significant pot. Fabrice Soulier up to 2.57 million.
How much was the 50?
50.
Have you played against the 19-year-old, Mateos?
No, I haven't.
How would you characterize Fabrice's play, though? Is he more of a tag, a tight and aggressive player? Is he does he play a lot of pots?
So the time that I played with him was during the 3K that I came second in, and we were down to around about 30 players. From memory, I think he was quite short at that point. So I
Hard to
can't,
get a read.
yeah. It wasn't like he was deep and making moves or anything like that. So I think he was just waiting for spots to get his chips in. So
Spindler woke up with, you know, he's got a date at like 3 o'clock.
200.
Spindler's got somewhere to be. He's got a hot date at 3 o'clock.
maybe.
3 hands in. We have seen him check raise and then fire 2 more bullets with just ace high. And here, the cold 4-bet up to 280,000. Action back over to Dominic. And I think you said it well. I've done a lot of commentary with him, and he is capable of anything. A very, very aggressive young German player. But I feel like in the last couple of years, he's dialed it back, and
Right.
he kind of feels, he knows when to kind of step on the pedal and when to pull back.
I mean, if I was to bet on who I think would win, I would put my money on Dominic. I have a lot of respect for his game, and I think that while some people do find him a little bit crazy at the table, maybe it's part of his method, you know, and then...
Method of the madness. I like
Right.
it. So the original raise was from Dominic. Dominic wearing the blue sweatshirt right in the center of your screen. Our chip leader is wearing kind of that orange salmon shirt just to his left. That is Adrian Mateos, the Spaniard. Gentleman in the black hat, by the way, that is Raghi Raghavan, 27-year-old from Chicago, Illinois, who won the 5-Diamond Classic last December in Bellagio for about $1 million. Nietzsche does not want to let this one go. And there's the 5-bet.
To 440,000.
This is all pre-flop. This is just 3 hands in.
Wow.
And we get a quick fold, and Spindler with 9-3. Telling you, Spindler, he's got somewhere to go. He's either going to win this tournament by 3 o'clock, or he's going to be gone by 3.
Nope.
Well,
Not at all.
I mean, he's unfortunate that Dominic's woken up with aces there. I mean, sometimes you pick a spot and your timing's just terrible, isn't it?
Other notable results on Spindler's resume, by the way, include a 3rd-place finish in the PCA main event in 2009.
I know what you mean.
He had a runner-up finish in the EPT Grand Final High Roller event in 2011. Dominic Nietzsche, by the way, his career earnings stand at $2.4 million. He's won a WPT title, he's won an LAPT title, and he's won a bracelet.
Yeah.
And big blind, please.
So he's kind of won like 2.5 of the 3 Triple Crown.
And his results, they are very global if you look at his results around the world.
First action under the gun.
He just dominated. I remember doing the commentary for the LAPT, and it was just, you could see how outmatched the field was against him.
Yeah.
It was just, in a weird way, I mean, he was the youngest at the table by far, but it was like a man playing with boys in terms of poker
Right.
experience. You could just say how much more poker he had played than everybody else. Spindler playing another hand.
To 40,000.
Spindler raises to 40,000.
40,000. 3 folds. Dominic is out. And Benjamin won.
Spindler, by the way, now down to 900,000 chips. Spindler came into today's final table with 1.748 million. And has lost pretty much half of that stack in just 4 hands. Unfortunately for him, doesn't get any action when he has ace-king.
Right. Well, I don't know. Maybe he came in with thought he was going to take some control of the table and play pretty aggressively, but obviously he hasn't been working. He's run into aces and the second nut flush. Maybe it's just poor timing.
Daniel Negreanu obviously won last night's tournament, but he also won the APAC main event. Just a tremendous performance. Benny Spindler came into that final table as a chip leader, ended up finishing in 6th, and came into that final table pretty much the same way as he came into here. The difference was he was chip leader there. Here he was
40,000. Action over to Fabrice.
actually right in the middle. Yeah, I mean, you're talking, he was actually 4th. I mean, not much in, he had a ton of chips. He had 93 big blinds, but still right in the middle.
I didn't arrive till they were 5-handed, so
Folds.
I missed.
You
the
missed
start.
that.
Yeah. Stayed to the end.
You missed the Benny Spindler section of the show.
I did. I stayed to the end because obviously supporting Nikolai.
You hand button is
An
6.
888 ambassador. It was great to see him get second place. And
You were talking about last night. I'm actually referencing the APAC main event
oh,
last year.
okay. I thought you were talking about it yesterday.
No, Benny Spindler. He
Okay.
didn't make yesterday's high roller.
Okay.
At the APAC main event in April in Australia, the one that Daniel Negreanu won, Spindler came to that final table as our chip leader.
Wow.
Ended up finishing in 6th, and came in guns a-blazing right from the start there too. And you can see that, obviously trying to set a tone. Hasn't worked, obviously, here. Let's talk about for a second Daniel Negreanu and just what his accomplishments really mean.
Jerome is first and he folds.
4 final tables this year, 2 bracelets, a 2nd place finish, a 4th place finish, and now a 2nd player of the year for his poker
It's
resume.
amazing.
Raises to 40,000.
I mean, he obviously loves the game. He loves playing, which I think is fantastic as well.
It's up to Rob.
But to have such longevity in the game and have such results, yeah.
Here's Robbie
Amazing.
Raghavan, the 27-year-old from Northbrook, Illinois. Calls Chicago his home,
He makes the call.
and he is part of that accomplished group of University of Illinois alum that turned poker pros like Paraj Jaka, Mohsen Sharania, Andy Seth, and others.
Off his trade.
Raghavan, a WPT title holder, calls. Flop is King 8-3. He checks.
Over to bed.
This is our 6th hand of the final table.
2 checks.
Then checks.
Spindler's played 5 of them, I believe.
I was going to say, yeah, Spindler's got a high percentage of hands so far.
Well, as Antonio Esfandiari always says, it's hard to make a hand in Hold'em.
6 bets.
Unfortunately for Spindler, his opponents are making
Robbie bets
hands
Right.
60,000.
or having hands. Raghavan bets 60,000.
Our amateur at the table has been sitting there fairly quiet. Do you think on his mind might be that he might be trying
Then
to
makes
jump
the
up a
call.
few pay levels?
I mean, he's by far the short stack, but the way Spindler's playing right now,
River card is
that definitely might be in his mind. He's also not that short. He's got about
Right.
27 big blinds,
Yeah.
28 big blinds. So
I mean, he can afford to sit there and not play a lot of hands and let the other guys play aggressively and knock each other out for a while at least.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know how he got here.
No, I don't
whether it
know.
was he played phenomenally well, because I think the line between pro and amateur has become somewhat blurred over the last couple of
Right.
years.
6 bets.
There are many amateurs that are fantastic, and there are many pros that,
150,000.
in my opinion, aren't that good.
That's 150,000.
That said, we'll see how Huget plays going forward. The Frenchman, 38 years old, got here on a 10-euro satellite. Raghavan has bet 150,000 into Spindler. Pot is 378. Getting about 2.5 to 1 to make the call. And there's a look at the 27-year-old. And there's Spindler. Once again, Jackie Glazier joining me in the booth. I think Spindler's trying to decide if he can raise